there seems to be a disconnect between what he's saying and what his own people are putting out. An example is, while you just talked to us about evaluation and about it shouldn't be, and I've heard you say before, it shouldn't be 50% of teachers' evaluations based on student test scores, yet the department is approving those races to top grants. They're approving those plans.
Through a peer review process, a number of states won races to the top grants. Some had teacher eval at 50%, some had student learning there at 50%, some had it at 20%. New York, that's when New York started. So those got approved. Again, we didn't make a value judgment, one versus the other. The line we drew in the sand, I think, again, we were very consistent here, and not everyone may agree, is we said that student learning should be a significant piece of teacher eval. And what I was rebelling against there is historically teacher eval and student achievement were absolutely divorced from each other. And we don't know what the right number is. I don't think anyone here in this room knows what the right percentage is, but we were absolutely trying to encourage student learning to be a piece of teacher eval. And states did different things, and again, we didn't make a value judgment one versus the other. Where we did make a value judgment was saying if you continue to say that teacher eval was not connected to whether students were learning or not, I think that demeans the profession. And so I don't think, again, we can agree or disagree, I don't think we've been inconsistent there. We work with 50 states. Some states do things we love, some states do things we love less, and states are in the middle. But again, in a system that's a federated system, we have to work and partner and try and do the best we can with lots of different places. And I think going forward, we will learn from where we have success and where we don't have success, and the nation will learn together. So in all honesty, again, not that we do everything perfectly by stretch, I don't personally see an inconsistency.
Secretary, we want to be very mindful of your time. It's 1:05.
I'm good.
I love it. You're right.
Well, I don't want to give something else.
Good.
You're good? Okay, let's take it.
Okay. Thank you.
How are you? My name is Chris Poulos. I'm 2007 from Connecticut. I want to bring the conversation back to teacher leadership. First, I want to thank you for the Teach to Lead initiative. I think it's great. I hope it takes root. For the last year, I've served in a hybrid position. So I get to do 50% of my time in my school. I teach, that's what I love to do. And I work 50% of the time with the Commissioner of Education in Connecticut at the State Department. And over the last year, I've been able to mentor teachers at school. I've been able to teach. I've maintained credibility with teachers because I can say I'm writing goals, I'm looking at student data, I'm doing the evaluation, which we're undergoing in Connecticut. And at the same time, at the department level, I've been able to engage hundreds of teachers in the policy process, much what we were talking about before. How do we engage teachers? And I can go into that, but I don't have time right now to do that. I'm super excited because the position's been extended for another year. But the challenge has been, there's been a challenge in terms of establishing this. It's a systems challenge. And even though I had an invitation from the commissioner and I had the support of my local board of education, in order to assume this hybrid role, it took 6 weeks of negotiation, it took 2 memorandum of agreement, and rightfully so. There are scheduling logistics, there's contract language, there's financial implications, who's going to pay for the other half of my time when I'm in the department. And my question to you is, what can be done to make that shift, that systems shift, so that this becomes more common practice, so that we can bring these hybrid roles to scale, not just 1 or 2 people in a state, but that it's occurring in every district in a state.
So that's almost the heart of this Teach to Lead effort, that I'm just absolutely convinced these hybrid roles, teachers desperately need them, the nation desperately needs them, kids desperately need them. I worry about professional development. It's meaningless. I think the best PD for teachers is other teachers, master mentor teachers helping them. I worry a lot about great teachers leaving the classroom, leaving what they love most and do best, to have to make more money. I read something that stunned me. It was a majority, I don't know, it's like 60-65% of principals would have stayed in the classroom if they could have progressed in their careers. And so if you want to be a principal, I love that. We desperately need more principals. We're going to talk about that. But if you don't want to be a principal, you shouldn't go do that just because you need to support your family. And so I think this is the best investment we can make. I don't have an easy answer, but that is sort of precisely the goal of Teach to Lead, is can we start to scale and make these hybrid roles the norm? And yes, there are legitimate questions, but it shouldn't take 6 weeks and 2 MOUs and whatever. And we just need to start to build this into the DNA and the fabric. And much of the stuff needs to be negotiated at the local level, so this is union and management working together and both finding common ground. But for me, this is one where I don't see a common, there's no enemy here. There's a lot of common upside. And so the challenge to us, and frankly challenge back to you and this group, and to Ron's still here, you left, is can we, over the next couple of years, not just see 10 more districts move in this way, but can we really scale it very, very rapidly? And intellectually, honestly, this one is not that hard. It's just thinking a little bit differently. So I'm going to hold us accountable. I'm going to hopefully hold you guys accountable. If this is one of the things you guys are going to work on, which I would love it to be, is can we really scale very rapidly as a nation? So 3 years from now, 5 years from now, this just starts to become part of the norm. People look back at this as the dark ages when it took all this bureaucracy to get it done. Huge upside here.
Thank you. We have one more.
That's one.
Okay, my alarm's ringing. All right.
Heidi Welch, 2013 New Hampshire Teacher of the Year, and one of, I believe, only 3 arts teachers in the room. I teach music in a very rural area in New Hampshire, and I think I would be remiss if I did not take this opportunity as one of the very few arts teachers that represent the NNSTOYs to say that we are running scared with CCSS. And even though the new arts standards were just released on June 4th, I think that we are so busy saying, how can we fit in to the Common Core, instead of saying we are valuable because we're valuable. And I think that you said earlier, we pit groups against each other. Well, the arts teachers are the first always, and I know you've heard this a million times, to go. And we are very fearful, and band directors all over the country are going, how can I measure that? How can, as Charlotte talks about evaluations, why are you giving me an evaluation based on the reading scores? That's not appropriate, it's not okay. And I think that we should be valued. And I know we're lobbying at the national level and all of that stuff, but what can we possibly do to say, I'm sick of, STEM and STEAM are great, but I'm sick of trying to fit music in because, well, can you fit us in? Can you fit it in? Sorry, we're arts teachers. No, gosh darn it. We are valuable parts of every child's educational purpose, just life. And talk about grit. Ask a music teacher if they have grit. Because I know that in my band room, those kids are learning resilience every day when they pick up that instrument and they fingered that thing wrong, and then they have to try it again and again and again. Because guess what? Does anybody want to go to a performance that's a 75%? I don't think so. So I have to be 100%, or else people think that my program is a failure. 92% is not good enough in the band concert hall. So what can we do to make that message very clear that we are arts, but gosh darn it, we are very important and very valuable just because we don't teach science, social studies, math, English.
I can't be a better spokesman for this than you, so you just get on the road. This will solve itself. No, three things. Let me start on a tough one. I just talked about Philly and the sort of funding cuts here. This wasn't today, but last year I talked to an amazing music instructor here in Philly who literally had $0 for his budget. So what he was teaching his kids in music was bucket drumming. Like you see kids on the street playing. That was his music curriculum. Blew me away. And he was talking about resilience and grit. He was doing it. But bucket drumming should not be the point of what we're teaching our kids. Our kids deserve a little bit better than that. That's one. Tied to that, secondly, obviously for me, this is just, again, go back to where I started, this is a resource issue. And when funding is cut, whether art, music, PE, after school, we know what gets cut first. And as a nation, we either invest or we don't, but we either see this as part of a core curriculum of a well-rounded, world-class education, or we don't. And for me, art, music, dance, drama, sports, whatever, robotics, yearbook, those aren't extras, academic decathlon. That's what our kids need to be successful. I also say it can't just be at the high school level. It's got to be first and second, third grade. And it's not, every kid's not going to be in the Joffrey Ballet or whatever, but they're developing skills and habits and a reason to come to school every single day that without those, school's a less attractive proposition. Again, for me, the enemy is this dropout. And arts and other things help to keep kids in school and develop a healthy sense of self-esteem. So these either become, again, part of the norm and we demand them to be part of the norm, or they will continue to be, quote-unquote, extracurricular, which in tough budget times get cut. For me, it's just an unacceptable proposition. The final one in eval, which is a really interesting one, is that, yes, we should hold the teacher accountable. I'll give you a great example. I just give you a guy, Drew Davison, who was an art teacher in Tennessee. They were doing a thing there in Tennessee where his evaluation was based on reading scores or whatever. He thought it didn't make sense. He created sort of a peer-reviewed, double-blind, some complex way of really evaluating the quality of his kids' work. It was adopted district-wide. It is now being adopted statewide. So it's the opposite of running away from accountability. It's about meaningful accountability. And this is a perfect example. You guys should go talk to him and see. I don't have the latest update, but he's basically changed the culture of the state of Tennessee and saying we want to be held accountable. We are important. We don't want to do it in a way that doesn't make sense, to go back to the Oregon example, but we're going to come with a much more thoughtful, meaningful solution, and people are listening to that. And so that's the kind of thing, and maybe it shouldn't take that, but maybe that's what it does take. It does take great teachers standing up and saying, we have a better way, we have a way that doesn't make sense, it's not nonsensical, and we're going to step up. And at least in that particular example, that one teacher with some other teachers has had a profound, profound impact in changing the culture.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Thank you for extending your time here with us. Appreciate it.
We accept your challenge, and we will let you know what we decide we are going to be focusing on. Last year we gave you a shirt. This year we're giving you a cap. And I'd like to ask Lori Calvert to come up, please. Directors of NNSTOY has decided that we would like to offer you a lifetime honorary membership in our organization. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Lori has been an incredible ally and friend to NNSTOY, so welcome to the organization.